Hey guys, so I was looking over my Ravagers and I was kind of planning them out, planning their ISOs, planning their T4s, planning the matchups I want to use them against in war. And I ended up taking a really deep dive into this team and wanted to share with you what I found. It's going to be an exercise in theory crafting. It's going to be a long video. There'll be timestamps. Make sure you use the timestamps to see what actually interests you. But without further ado, let's get into it to save as much time and sanity as we can. Because I think I've been looking at this team for the last 20 hours. It's been insane. So for T'Challa, his assist and basics are single target attacks. His basic is going to do a bonus attack, and he gains offense up, not from the ISO attack. That's important. We don't need a T4 on that. His special is going to do a single target attack. It's going to blind and put defense down. If Yondu in war, defense down to everybody, not single target. That's important. If the primary target has blind, it's going to steal up to 2 energy, so it needs to have blind to do that effect. It's unavoidable. Unavoidable does not mean unresistible. We need a T4 on that. It makes the blind steal go from 1 to 2, but that word up is doing a lot of lifting in that sentence. Blind steal up to 2, so it could be 1. Could it be 0? I don't know. We're gonna see in game. The ultimate, you can also use this right away. It's going to copy all positive effects from adjacent allies minus the couple listed. It's a single target attack, and it increases duration of positive effects, excluding regeneration, on Ravagers up from 1. We're going to need that T4. I believe it makes it go from copy 3 positive to copy all positives. We're going to be flooded with a bunch of buffs here on certain characters, so we're definitely going to want to steal that. His passive, on turn, he gets 1 evade. That's great. He's going to clear 1 negative effect from all Ravagers. It's pretty impactful if you think about teams like Brotherhood and Mercs. We'll talk about that when we get to them. Non-summon enemy death, 30% speed bar. He gets 30% damage everywhere, which is why his damage stat is insane. In war, he's going to give all Ravagers that 30%, both offense and defense, which is cool. Ravagers gain 25% max health everywhere, and on offense, an extra 25%, so 50% total. That is a T4 must. Now let's go look at Yondu. We have some questions about that T'Challa special, though. So we'll talk about that when we get to certain matchups. And I am going to constantly mess up Yondu and T'Challa's names. I don't know why. I've just been doing that, trying to figure this out in recording. So for Yondu, his assist is a lot more interesting than T'Challa. He does a single target attack, and he strips 2 random buffs. That's going to be pretty big. That's going to play a big factor into our ISO decision. His basic is the same as his assist. We do not need a T4 for that. His special, he's going to summon 2 minions, a Boomer and a Stitcher. He's going to give speed up to all Ravagers, and he gains stealth. That is a T4 must to get the right minions. His ultimate chains to all enemies. It's going to clear 2 positive effects. It gains a buttload of focus for each Ravager ally, and it cannot be dodged. We need this T4, otherwise that buttload of focus goes from 100 to 25%. His passive, on turn, he's going to copy 3 positive effects. He's going to clear the copied effects, and if the enemies have blind, he'll steal everything and take everything instead of just 3. He gives Ravagers 5% damage, and in war, he personally gains 20% focus. Not all Ravagers gain that focus. That is a T4 must. Bruiser, now we're getting into the weeds, and the minions are what kind of confuse what you're going to want to do for ISO, I believe. I think it's going to be pretty controversial what my final take is. Let me guys know in the comments if you hate me after this video, if you disagree. So anyway, let's jump into it. His assist is a single target attack. If it's a protector that you're attacking, it's going to do defense down and disrupt. So his basic mirrors that, except it also adds, if the primary target is taunting, clear the taunt from that target, and we're only talking war offense. We're going to gain 3 deflect when we do that, and this is where he gains his taunt. This is a T4 must. His special, he's going to give defense up to all Ravagers for 2 turns. You can use this right away. It's redundant, though, because we're going to spawn with defense up, as we'll see in a second. He does a big heal from himself, and he's going to copy 3 positive effects, minus stealth, from primary, and a war offense, which is what we care about, sorry. He's going to copy everything. So if there's a taunt, he's going to copy the taunt. Very important. And then he's going to flip 3 positive effects on the primary. That is a T4 must. Now here's where the redundancy comes in. On his passive, he's going to apply defense to all Ravagers for 2 turns. That's exactly what his special does, so we're probably going to be opening up with the basic. He also gains 25% block chance. He gives 25% armor to Ravager allies. And in war, he gives the Ravager allies drain. That's pretty cool. That is a T4 must as well. So he's all 3 T4s. He's heavy. Stitcher, the assist. So clear death proof from the target. That is part of the T4. Without the T4, it does not do that. Single target plus heal block. That's part of the T4 as well. The heal block can happen without the T4. It's just not guaranteed. And then if the primary target has defense down, it attacks for more, and it's a permanent kill ability, which is pretty cool. The basic, again, same thing, mirrored as the assist. I'm going to call this one a T4 must-ish. Not every matchup do you need to clear death proofs, and not every matchup do you need a permakill. I'm just not sure I believe in this meme. I think it'll be cool. I think they'll have a fun animation for it that I'm going to want to see. But I'm not super into the idea of putting my Stitcher as my main damage on the team. I'm not sure I'm into that idea. For his special, he can use this right away. He's going to steal 10% life. That's huge from these big life enemies like Doom. And he's going to redistribute that to the most injured ally, and to that same ally, he's going to do a big heal and apply immunity. We don't need a T4 for that one. The T4 is just extra healing. His passive, he gains 20% max health, and on spawn, he applies regeneration to all allies for 2 turns. That is a T4 must. Without the T4, it's only for 1 turn. And last but not least, we got Boomer. He's on the team. He's doing things. His assist is a single target and it applies slow, and he gains speed up. He's always going to have speed up because he's doing a bunch of assists. Without the T4, it's only a 70% chance to land the slow. With the T4, it's 100%. Again, I call this a T4 must-ish. I like it. It's more than luxury. It's good. But he's doing so many attacks, and there's also going to be a minion doing so many attacks that I think you're going to get your slows either way. And on that topic, actually, for the minions, as far as your Stitcher summon and your Boomer summon, they're basics. The slow and the steal death proof, clear death proof and apply heal block, they don't get the T4 on that ability unless you T4 Yondu's basic. That's important to note. His special, this is really, really powerful. It's going to reduce speed bar by 30% for everybody that it hits, and he gains 30% speed bar, and it's only a 3 of 3. This is a T4 must. It brings it from 20% speed manipulation to 30%. Speed manipulation is king in war. And then for the passive, 15% chance to assist Ravager allies. That's kind of a misnomer. That's only for the minions. For T'Challa and Yondu, it's always going to happen because of the T4. So we definitely want that T4. We definitely do assists. And on spawn, he gets offense up to all Ravager allies. So that's pretty good. That means our T'Challa will have offense up when he does his first hit. Now let's look at stats. So this is where I kind of lost a lot of my hype for the team. I'm still going to build them up. I'm still going to test them on a bunch of teams and see if my, interior calculations are wrong. Maybe one day I'll get on that test server and we could do this more live so we could truly build up the hype or, cancel out teams. We'll see if that future eventually happens. But when I'm talking war offense, I care about 3 stats the most: speed, focus, damage. This team lacks a lot in speed and focus. Now, Yondu does give them speed up on his turn, but he is only 112. He is going to probably go after the majority of enemy meta war D teams. So you really need to survive for Yondu to hit that, to steal a bunch of buffs. Hopefully they didn't lose their defense up along the way. You're not going to have the defense down that T'Challa is going to apply, unfortunately, because most of the enemies will have taken a turn and dropped it by then. They lack in speed. There's no other way around it. They do get up and running when Yondu gets to take a turn, but before that they lack. And focus. Everybody but Yondu really lacks in focus here. Now this is you should focus more on the rankings than on the actual number, because the number is, when they're full build, 7 yellow, 7 red. T'Challa is a new character. We're going to have him built a lot smaller as far as star level goes than the rest of our Ravagers. His focus is an issue. If he doesn't land the blind, he doesn't do the energy steal. He doesn't do the energy steal, a lot of the potential counters go out the window. That focus is an issue. Same with Ravager Bruiser. He does a lot of important things to tanks, but he has low focus. So keep that in mind when we talk ISO 8 before you crucify me. As far as damage goes, it looks like T'Challa outclasses them all by a mile at 55k. He has the built-in 30% into this number. You got to give an extra 30% to the rest of the Ravagers, so they're going to be pretty high up there with him, which is a huge stat number. And then they're also going to get offense up from the Boomer. So, very powerful team. If they survive their weak slows and they can somehow get around tanks, they're going to be in a good position to really mess people up. Their health isn't as bad as it looks. They get that 50% from T'Challa. And the armor, same thing, not as bad as it looks because they get 25% from the Bruiser. Their resist, they don't get from anywhere. So the resist and focus, they don't have a Moon Dragon that gives them 50% extra focus and resist. That is a weak point for them. They can get like covered in debuffs from, say, like a cloak. And then maybe they're not going to get through tanks with this focus. So with that in mind, the stats and the abilities and the turn sequence, let's talk about recommendations. A lot of you are going to hate for me this, and actually this is, I changed my mind as recording this. Yondu, I like him as a striker. He's going to clear extra buffs with that ISO attack. He's got a really good stat on damage with T'Challa's extra 30%. I like that. We're going to do everything but the basic on him. I don't really mind those summon minions not having their basic T-Ford. T'Challa, lots of people are going to like Striker because they're going to like the Striker Boomer interaction with the triple tap. I don't, because I'm not going to have a super big T'Challa. I'm just not. Like, the best I probably will get is like 5 yellow, 5 red, depending on their release method. So I'm taking him as a skirmisher, personally. If he doesn't land that special on crucial enemies of War D teams, Ravagers are going to fall apart. There's just no way around it. They're going to fall apart. So he will be a skirmisher for me, and I will do everything but the basic. For the Boomer, I'm doing everything but the basic as well. We talked about how I feel about that basic. I'm going to use him as a skirmisher. It will allow for triple taps with Yondu when Yondu does his abilities that are not his special. And that's going to help strip buffs. Furthermore, I'm not doing the basic T4 on him, right? It's not a 100% chance to land that slow. But when it tries to land that slow on that 70%, the skirmisher ISO will help it land. Now here's an error on this little info that I have pulled up, this little infographic, if you will. For Stitcher, I'm not doing Striker or Skirmisher. I don't really care about the heal block. I think that this team, once they get the chance to do attacks, they're going to blow people up. I don't care for the Striker. So that takes Striker and Skirmisher off the map. I like Healer. I like Healer for him, and that's what I'm going to do. He's going to do big heals. He has a big health pool. Yeah, I'm going to be doing Healer on my Stitcher. And finally, Bruiser. Lots of people are going to like Striker because of the interaction with the ISO attack. Not me. I like Skirmisher because I need him to help peel stuff off of tanks. So when he does his basic and he can get rid of taunt, I would need that to actually go through. And against tanks like Colossus and Juggernaut, who are enemies we're going to have to face, they get a super jacked up resist. He needs that extra focus. Even then, I don't think it's going to land, but it certainly will not land if he's a Striker. So that's what I got as the green bubbles on these two, is invest in these as much as you can. They're going to carry the team. The yellow, they're kind of kit-based. They're going to do their thing. You need them to survive, though. You can't have anybody die on this team against the, like, meta defense teams. Now let's look at those meta defense teams and kind of, like, talk strengths and weaknesses against what I consider the most problematic defensive teams that I see at my level. It's going to be different for you guys. Maybe you don't see these more intricate hybrids or these newer teams, but I'll talk about this, and you let me know if there's another team you want me to kind of speculate on how they'll do, and once I have my Ravagers built, I'll test it for you as well. So, Surfer Mercs with 4 Mercs in security. There's no way around this team. That's not painful. Lots of us use like Infinity Watch to get through it because they're like million power teams. That Surfer, he's going to get offense up one way or another. Even if you can Psycho Zerg that Lieutenant, because an ally dies, he's going to get an offense up. An offense up Surfer in security hitting you is death, especially the person that he peels the buffs off of. So a poorly placed Surfer ult is bad. Taskmaster Skirmisher, if he's peeling your defense ups that you're getting on spawn from your Bruiser, and then he's also doing all those assists on the lowest life target, he's going to put his ultimate on your T'Challa, presumably, because he's the highest damage. I don't see how this matchup could go good. So I don't think Ravagers solve this problem. If I was only trying to build a team for this problem, I'm not building them. Next, we have the Astonishing Axmen. On its face, this doesn't seem any better because Yondu special, those minions, might, give speed to the Jubilee passive, and then you get just ran over. Skirmisher assist from the Axmen. There's lots of people who run a lot of heavy skirmishers on their Astonishing Axmen are really going to peel through that Bruiser's taunt. He doesn't have good focus. So I think that's an issue with this team too. Though I think there's potential in that if you push Beast and you steal all their buffs, there's potential that you could get through this. Now, I'm a little biased in my Yondu summons because I have a 7-register Yondu, and I've had them survive some crazy things. I will test them against Astonishing X-Men, and the reason I'm still not super confident is because Astonishing X-Men are built very high for Doom Raid, right? Where we're at, we don't see many Astonishing X-Men under 800k. For that reason, I doubt Ravagers will do well against the Astonishing X-Men, who have found their way to defense, by the way. Then we have the new Uncanny. They're also on defense. There's some potential here, though this gets tricky because of Storm. Storm's ability, I forget if it's 7 or 8 energy on her special, it starts full. So Yondu starts 2 out of 3. But on his first turn, he can use his special, right? So that first turn he takes count as him getting his 3rd energy. Storm starts, I think it's 7. 7 out of 7. If T'Challa uses his special on her, lands the blind, and only steals 1 energy, putting her then at 6 of 7, when she takes her turn, is her special just back up again? That's a problem with this new mechanic. I'm not sure if it's been thought through. It's a tricky thing. I love the mechanic on its face, try and steal some energy. I think that's the next evolution in this game. Like, we did speed manipulation, now let's do ability manipulation besides just ability block. But how that's going to work, I don't know. So it might just not work at all, because if it's, steal up to 2 and half the time it only steals 1, you might get stunned and then get rolled over. Yondu buff clear could make this possible. However, the biggest threat is getting stuck behind Colossus with that defense up. We don't have the focus on our team to really get through that Colossus taunt. If he has defense up, he gains 3,000% extra resist. The way you normally get through that is like a Kestrel ultimate with 5,000 extra focus, or a Sharon Carter ultimate with 5,000 extra focus. So Ravagers don't have that way to get through these tanks that get that giant resist built in with their taunt. So we're going to see about that. There's some potential there, but not super confident. Then we have New Warriors. This seems like a completely bad idea, especially if there's like a Drax on the enemy team. Cloak dodges and potential blind. Like, if he doesn't get beat up by your T'Challa blinded and ability energy stolen, and then you get a bunch of blinds after the fact, that's going to be bad. That'll be really bad. And then Deathpool can feed off of the minion deaths. You get stuck behind the Drax, so you couldn't even get to the cloak right away. Yeah. Ravagers are not going to be good against New Warriors with Squirrel Girl and Drax. We see that team a lot. You might also see New Warriors with Emma and Surfer, and that would be even worse. Don't even think about that team. Eternals plus speed, or Eternals plus Inhumans, like Black Bolt, Yo-Yo, and Crystal. T'Challa has 1 less speed than Icarus, so you can't stop him from using his ult. He's going to flip your defense ups into they're not super low health pools, but they're low enough. And people have Icarus built for Arena, so that's a really iffy matchup. I know Remenex said he has hope in this matchup, and Remenex is a boss when it comes to theory crafting. So I'm personally going to be keeping my eye on him and seeing how he plays it out. I got faith in Rem. He's done a lot of good, matchup crafting for the community. So keep an eye on him as well. I believed it for a second, and then when I saw the speed difference, I kind of fell out of love with the idea. But we'll see. Next, we have Web Warriors. This is potentially where your Ravagers are going to shine the most. Dodges can cause an issue, but that's true of any Web Warrior counter. Spawning with defense up is super helpful against the Web Warriors, which the Ravagers do. Besides T'Challa, all Ravagers are slow and will need to survive the opening barrage, right, until Yondu gets to use his special, where they get speed up, and Yondu can get ability blocks, so that could be an issue as well. But if you survive the opening barrage, you get a taunt up, you get your minions up, you start turn meter rewinding them. Even though you get dodged all over the place, you start stealing the speed up, start stealing their buffs. I think you can get through the Web Warriors. The problem with Web Warriors, similar to the Astonishing X-Men, is they are going to be built very high for Doom 2.3. So we'll see. I'll test it. I'll test it probably on like a 200k punch up and see what we can do, because I don't want to build my Ravagers as high as I build my raid teams. I mean, I might have to because of Legion, but I'd prefer not to. Brotherhood Doom, there's real potential here because of the T'Challa special and how it's going to interact with Doom. Doom's going to start, I think it's like 2 energy off from his ultimate. So if we drop him back another 2, then we should be good. Now, when Magneto does his ultimate, T'Challa, on his turn, is actually going to clear that blind. Now, he's not going to clear the blind from everybody if you're in reactor, if you're touching security. If you're in both, it's even worse, right? Like, that's the Rhino problem, except instead of clearing 2, T'Challa only clears 1. So there's going to be some in-game testing we need to do here. And just like the Uncanny problem, we're going to need to make sure we can find a way to get around the Juggernaut, whether that's through turn meter manipulations with our Boomer and our Summon Boomer. I don't know. I think there's potential here, though. And if I can find a way to use X Factor against Uncanny instead, and I can use Ravagers against Brotherhood Doom, that's a big win. So that's kind of where I'm most hopeful right now. That and Web Warriors. Heroes for Hire? No. I wish, but no. I don't think so. Especially these 1 million Hero for Hires. And then Dormammu teams, just stop it. Go away. So what is my final verdict on these guys? They get a B from me, which is a lot worse than what I was hoping. I already maxed out my Yondu. I don't regret that, because I have a 7 red Yondu, as I stated earlier. The Ravagers lack speed and focus. They have a lot of damage, but they lack speed and focus, which is super duper important in war. You know, we're not playing Pokemon. We can't flamethrower with Charizard our entire way through Fantastic Four, even against water types. It's just not going to happen. We need to land our debuffs for focus. They have potential. I need to test them in-game. Maybe one day I could be an envoy and get onto the test servers and really kind of test these guys out and give some better informed information. That would be a dream come true. But we need to test them with realistic power levels. And mechanically, it's not looking too good for the Ravagers against these like A-tier defense teams. Now against teams like Black Order, Marauders without Emma and Sabretooth, Wave 1, Pimtech, I think they're going to do fine. I think they're going to do really good. Against Fantastic Four, they'll do fine. So there's lots of room for them to be used, just not against what I consider the tippy top of the defense roster, which is kind of what I would build a new team for. However, these 2 boys right here make a sick combo. An absolute sick combo, especially T'Challa. We're probably going to be trying to use him in the raids. He's not going to solve the raids, but he's going to be a big variable in that equation that can help. And Yondu really buffs him up, making his special do an AoE defense down. And then the Yondu summons are insane. They 10% damage from the Stitcher, 30% turn meter rewind from the Boomer, and that's just on the summons. Then you get into all his buff manipulations on the enemy. So I think this 2-piece can be very similar to like Black Bolt Yo-Yo, but on the offensive side. Black Bolt Yo-Yo are very powerful, and they will remain that way on the defensive side. These guys, I think, will do that, but on the offensive side. And I really like the idea of pairing them with people like New Warriors, Cloak with those blinds, right? That's going to really impact Yondu. And it'll give T'Challa, maybe we won't have to rely on him landing his blind when we use his special. Instead, we can get blind with somebody else, whether that be like a Magneto or a New Warriors. I like that. I think there's room to make a super hybrid out of these guys, and I will test that as soon as T'Challa comes out. So right now I have Yondu built. I'll do T'Challa next, and then I'll do the rest of the Ravagers. I'll probably bring the Ravagers up to like 75 gear tier 14 and do some baby team testing against them, and if it goes well, then I'll max them out, and then I'll show you them taking on some of the boys from Legion. Anyway, guys, this video has ran super long. I hope you used the timestamps. I hope you liked the video. If you did, like and subscribe. Yeah, that's it, guys. Stay happy, healthy, and have fun. Tomorrow we got the Dormammu counter video coming out. A bunch of different variants. 400k punch up. It's going to be a very interesting and fun video. I hope you check it out. Hope you guys are happy, healthy, having fun. And I will see you next time. Bye for now, guys.